Alright, welcome back. So in this video, we will be doing the drywall in the hallway and the mudding and the painting and all that fun. And then that'll be it. It'll be finished. So this morning we are going to be hanging drywall. So in the last video, we finished the insulation and the vapor barrier. And now we are officially ready for drywall. We got our drywall up here. We got 3 sheets. And that is going to be the fun for today. Alright, so as you can see, first piece is up. Pause measuring for the next piece. As for the rest, I don't know if we're going to give it a whirl, just the two of us or not. Because these are going to be like full-size sheets. So that's why we're starting with the smaller ones first. This is just 2 of us. We might have to wait till Ma gets home for an extra hand. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we got our first couple of sheets of drywall up. As you can see, the last piece there, we kind of boo-booed, so we had to add a little extra in, but that's it for those smaller pieces. Next is the bigger pieces. All right, so we cut out a section there for this wall here, and then Pa's just measuring out for the fan box there, so we can cut it out. And then this piece here should be ready to be installed.
34 from here.
And we're just waiting on Ma to get home to give us a helping hand. Alright, so we finally got the next sheet up. We did make a little bit of a boo-boo. Apparently this is not our day. We cut out for the ceiling fan in the wrong location. So you can see that we've stuck a patch in there and moved the hole. And now the box is through it. But now we have this piece up. We just have to do that side and then the very end, and it will be drywalled. All right, so next piece to drywall is installed. And now we just have this little section here. And then it'll be drywalled and it'll be ready for tape and mud. All right, so last piece is up. We have a drywalled ceiling. I'm gonna have a few days off when I come back. I believe Pa said he's going to tape it all, and then when I come back I'll mud and do any sanding and get it ready for primer. So that will be it for today, and starting in a couple of days we'll do a little more and get it finished. Okay, after a few days off, I'm back. And this morning is the taping and the mudding of the drywall. So Pa's up there right now putting the tape up, and then I'm gonna go along and start mudding, and then we'll go from there, see how many coats we need. Usually I do 3, but we'll see, because there is some bigger holes that will need to be filled, but we'll see how this goes. So yeah, that's this morning's adventure, is drywall mudding. All right, so the first coat of mud is on the entire ceiling. And I'm not a professional, guys, so don't judge my mudding job. I try my best. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back after lunch. I may not sand this first coat and just put a second coat on, just because I did do a fairly thin first coat. just to kind of basically to hold the tape up there and kind of see where it'll need more mud. Some of the bigger holes, gaps, that kind of thing. We did patch our hole there too, so I'm hoping we can get that all smooth as well. But we'll let this dry and go from there. Okay, so it's actually the next day. I came back after lunch yesterday and the mud wasn't dry yet, so I just let it be. Figured let her dry till today. And then this morning I'm going to give it a quick sand and add a second coat. So as you can see, it's all dry now. So we'll give it a quick sand and put another coat on. But first I have to tape all these garbage bags to the door frames and to the floor to hopefully prevent drywall dust from going in every single room. So, second coat has been applied, and now we will let that dry overnight and come back tomorrow and hopefully sand and do the third and final coat. It is the next morning, and again I let the second coat of mud dry overnight. So this morning we're gonna do some more sanding and hopefully the third and final coat, and then we'll let that dry, and basically we'll just go from there. If it needs another coat, because there is some bigger gaps that I had to fill in. So I'm just kind of gonna play it by ear, see what it looks like after the third coat's dry, and whether or not I do the third and final sand, or I do the sand and a fourth coat, even on maybe some parts. But we'll have to see how it goes after today. So that is the plan this morning, is more sanding and the third coat, and fingers crossed that's all we'll need. So that's what the second coat looks like, all dry. And as you can tell, I call this my quarantine zone. I feel like I'm in a quarantine zone with all this plastic around me, but it actually has helped a lot with the drywall dust flying everywhere. So at least it's working, but I'm going to get my butt to work and start sanding. All right, so the sanding and the third coat has been applied. We're gonna wait for it to dry. I'm still hoping that this is the last coat. So we'll wait until it dries, come back, check it out, and hopefully I can do one final sand and it'll be ready for primer. So stay tuned. I will be back. Not sure when yet, but I will be back to sand this, fingers crossed, what is the third final coat, and then it'll be ready for primer. Okay, so I had to take a little bit of time off, so it's been a week or so. So they are getting a little impatient now about getting this done. So I guess my plan for today is to go over everything. So while I was not here, Mom actually did some sanding, and now I'm gonna go kind of over everything, see what it all looks like, see what needs more sanding, see what needs maybe more mud, and kind of just take it from there. And hopefully we can get this done this week. Okay, so all the sanding is done. I thought Mom did more, but apparently not. Now what my plan is, I'm gonna get Pa to come up this afternoon and he's gonna fill in anywhere that's still low that needs a little bit more, and he's gonna circle some spots that might still need sanded. And then I'll come back tomorrow and hopefully do the last sand, and then we'll hopefully be ready for primer. So that's where we're at right now. Everything has been sanded all the way around the ceiling and the wall there, and we'll just let Pa take a look at it, and basically I'm gonna go from there. Okay, so I had another day off because the other day when I left, Papa was going to do some of the 4th coat of mudding just where it needed it, and then he didn't quite get that done. So then yesterday he finished it, and it wasn't dry enough by yesterday afternoon for me to sand, so we just left it. And now I'm back this morning to do the last and final sanding of the drywall mud. So I know you can't really tell on video, but the 4th coat has been put on wherever it needed it. Basically, I think what he just told me was around the ceiling and the seams. The wall part, he didn't put any more on. So I'm just gonna basically be doing the ceiling today, and then it will be ready for a good clean and primer. Okay, after what seems like days, weeks, months, the drywall has finally reached the point where it's ready for primer. So I just finished sanding the 4th last coat, 4th and final last coat. And then I wiped it down. Mom and I are actually just kind of wiping everything else down. We did the floor because it was covered. And then tomorrow morning will be primer. First coat of primer will go on tomorrow morning. So I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. All right, so we're back the next day and we are finally ready for primer. So I have it ready here, and I'm just gonna throw the first coat of primer on and let that dry up and throw a second coat of primer on later. So there's my primer. It's Beauty Tone. That is our go-to paint. And yeah, we're just gonna make this ceiling all white. All right, so first coat of primer is on. We have a white ceiling. So we'll let that dry. It's actually drying quite fast. And probably come back after lunch and put the second coat on. But it's nice to see the ceiling all white. Okay, so we have the second coat of primer on, and as you can see, we have a white ceiling. So that'll be it for today, because obviously this is gonna dry, and then we'll come back and put the ceiling paint coat on. 1 or 2, probably 2 ceiling coat paints. No, 2 coats of ceiling paint. And do a coat on the walls there too. All right, so we're back, and today is painting day. So I'm gonna start off by painting the ceiling. So I've got it ready here, and again, we're using Beauty Tone and ceiling paint. And yeah, so we're just gonna throw a coat of ceiling paint on and let that dry, come back after lunch, throw the second coat of ceiling paint on, and hopefully it will need, because as you can tell, we already have a white ceiling. Looks pretty good. Coverage as well with the primer, so 2 coats of paint should be plenty. And then we'll be ready just to do the little bit of wall work there, paint on the walls, just where I primed where the drywall mud was. And we'll be able to put this room back together. Okay, so I know you probably can't tell, but the first coat of white ceiling paint is on the ceiling. And I guess you can kind of tell if you look at the wall, because the wall kind of has a gray tinge to it from the primer. But anyway, that will be it for this morning. And I'll come back after lunch and put the second coat of white ceiling paint on. Okay, second coat is on the ceiling. We will let that dry and come back tomorrow and do the walls. The only thing is, we're not sure if I'll have to paint the entire wall or if I can just paint the first or the top foot or so where I prime there, because Mom bought the paint, but she's not 100% sure what she bought. So she guessed. So she thinks it's a velvet. So that's what she bought. But we're gonna have to put the first coat on the wall and see if it's going to blend in. If it's not going to blend in, then I'll have to paint the entire wall, which is not a big deal. It's probably 1 coat. And then if it matches, then I only have to do that top section there all the way around. And I'm also gonna paint this wall here. As you can see, there's some marks on the wall there. That mirror there actually went for a little swing and scraped the paint a little bit. So I'm just gonna touch it up while I have the paint all out. But that is tomorrow's job. As of right now, I'm gonna go clean up my paint tray there, and that'll be it for today. So I will see everyone in the morning. Okay, so we're back. It's the next day, and today is wall painting day. So this is the paint for the walls, and it's just Beauty Tone Signature Velvet White paint. And it is gonna go on the walls, and we're gonna see if it blends in. If it doesn't blend in, then we're painting the whole thing. Okay, so the first coat is on the walls. I don't know if it's gonna blend. It's not looking like it's going to. But I'll come back after lunch, after it's dried, and see what it looks like then. But like I said, if all else fails, we'll just repaint the whole hallway. It's not that big of a deal. So, but first coat's on. All right, so we are back after lunch, and unfortunately, no go with the blend, as you can see quite clearly there. So we are going to paint the whole hallway again. It should only need 1 coat, so it's not that big of a deal. We'll just do a coat of paint over the whole thing and basically install some lights, well, a light fixture and a ceiling fan with a light. And this room, oh, and put the trim back around that window, but then this room will be completed. Okay, so a full coat over the whole thing has been put on, and it is drying. It's still wet in some spots, but where it is dry, or mainly dry, looks good. So I think we'll only need to do the 1 coat. I will come back tomorrow anyway. We got to do finishing touches anyway. Put the receptacles back on that I had to take off to paint, and put the light and the ceiling fan up. So I'll be able to tell even more tomorrow after it's had a chance to dry fully. But it looks like it's covered. So stay tuned, because tomorrow we'll be hopefully putting it all back together and having a finalized hallway. Okay, so came this morning, got right to work. So we just finished putting up the light fixture, well, the light fixture back up, taking all the tape off around all the trim from the painting yesterday, and put the trim back up around the window there. And next we are doing the ceiling fan. Now, for anybody that noticed, the junction boxes are a little low. We kind of forgot to take that into consideration when we got rid of the ceiling tile, that we had to move those up a little bit. So, with a little bit of brainstorming, we have a solution. So that's actually going to stay like that. And then, what we're going to do is, we're going to use this, which is the other light fixture that used to be over there that we got rid of. And we're going to use this up there first, and then we'll install the ceiling fan underneath that. And then that way we don't have to raise the junction box up, because it's kind of difficult, because you can't really get up in there unless you cut the drywall. So we don't want to cut the drywall. So yeah, it is coming back together. Oh, I also put all the covers back on, the light switches and the plugins. And next I'm gonna hang the mirrors back up, and then probably put the ceiling fan together, well, the blades together, so it's ready when Pa gets that all situated. So, the ceiling fan is installed, the curtains are up, and the floor has been vacuumed and mopped. What else did I do? The mirrors, the covers, you guys already knew all that, but we can officially say the hallway is done. So, I'm not sure what's going to be next. We were kind of talking about maybe this fall doing that little section, but I haven't really heard or not, so you'll have to stay tuned. I believe we might be siding the back of the house as well, so stay tuned for that one. And finishing off I call it the double-decker shed, the railing part. That'll be getting finished this spring/summer. And also, if anybody watched the upstairs bathroom reno, you know that it's been a very long time with this empty hole. So we finally came up with a solution. Pa found this little kitchen cabinet at Home Hardware, and he ordered one of them. And now he's actually ordered another one to put on top of it. And then I think he's just gonna kind of fill in the rest. I'm not really sure. You'll have to stay tuned. I will post something on it when it gets completely done. But as far as I know, a second cabinet is gonna go on top of there, and then I'm not really sure what's gonna happen after that. So yeah, you guys can stay tuned. Like I said, I'm not sure what the next project will be, but as of right now, we are done. And everyone take care.